Welcome to Wellness Made Easy with Wendy and Kirsten. Hi, I'm Wendy. After I graduated with my master's in wellness management, I started my own company, T2 Coaching, Health, Fitness, and Sport. And I'm Kirsten, an athlete, vegan, life coach, and girl mom, running a business focused on helping others create a life they love. We are here to explore all things wellness to help you become the person you've always wanted to be. So if that's why you're here, open your ears and your mind as we tackle the world of wellness together.
Hey, everybody. Hi, Wendy.
Hi, Kirsten. How are you?
I'm good. I like your festive outfit.
Thank you. I wore this for 50 trail miles.
Oh, you wore that on your race?
And I had a hat on. I couldn't find the
gosh.
hat before I left the house, but this is what I wore for 50 miles. It's a whole dress.
I love it. I was wearing a Grinch shirt yesterday at swim practice. And when all the kids would ask me, like, because they always ask, like, can we play a game? Can we do something fun? I'm like, look at my shirt. That gives you
When you would flash the Grinch.
Yeah. I'm like, look at my shirt. And they're like, oh.
Okay. So speaking of the Grinch, my friend Joanne, she made a whole video on it that McDonald's, maybe Happy Meals, have Grinch socks in them.
What?
Did you know about that?
No.
It was about a week ago, and I meant to text you. Obviously, it spaced my mind, but she did this whole video on social media about going to McDonald's, which I know I don't think she ate McDonald's, but maybe she did. But she did it for the Grinch socks. She ordered whatever she needed to order for Grinch socks, and I immediately thought of you. And she asked me, did you get them? I said, no, my friend Kirsten will.
Yes. I will tell my sister, because my sister actually orders Happy Meals because she doesn't want to eat a full meal. That's her way of like still eating McDonald's, but just eating like the small amount. So she gets Happy Meals all the time. So I'm totally going to text her as soon as we get off.
Awesome.
So I want to hear about your race.
Which is my wellness win. One of my wellness wins. So I ran 50 miles, and it tied in with my word of 2025 was possibilities.
Nice.
And so I completed my last race of the season, 50 miles, and it went well. It went well. You know, I originally am like, you know what, I think on this course, which was runnable, it only had like 6,000 feet of elevation gain only. It was going to be runnable. And so I kind of originally had I wanted to break 10 hours. And I was on track up until the last 20 miles, and I did 10 and a half. And I'm really happy with that because, you know, the last 20 miles, there were a lot of moments of, you know, stop, quit, who cares? You know, you're good. You could be done. And then, you know, it really actually happened after the 50K. So the 50K is roughly 32 miles. And then I'm like, no, just keep going. And the reason I wanted to quit so bad was my lower back hurt a lot because I tripped like 5 times and I fell twice. It was just stuff underneath the thick layer of leaves. I just kept tripping. And one time I actually flew. I thought I was going to totally fly through the air and face plant, but I caught myself. And, you know, it just puts a number on your back when you're like moving and blah, blah, blah. Anyways, I'm like, you could quit. Save your back. Don't do this. This is dumb. I'm never doing this again. You know, all those things we go through as in an endurance race. And then in the end, I still did 10 and a half hours, you know, like with 10 miles to go, I did the calculations and I'm like, well, you know, in the end, I wanted to go in the 10-hour range. So I wanted to break, in the end, the ultimate goal was to break 11 hours. And I'm like, if you do 15-minute miles, the last 10 miles, you're going to break 11 hours. And then I got to the point where I realized, well, you might be able to break 10 and a half hours. And when I turned the corner and I saw the finish line time, I just sprinted and I did 10:29. So I was really happy with it. It was a good accomplishment. It made me realize I want to stick to 50Ks for a while before I do another one because it was hard to hold back. I mean, it's a pacing. Any race you do involves a pacing strategy so you don't feel like crap. You can do whatever you want, but you might feel like crap. And so I really didn't want to go that slow. I wanted to go faster. And if I would have done the 50K, I could have started faster and probably broke 6 hours for the 50K. So I learned a lot. I really wanted just to see where my mind would be pushing 18 more miles after a 50K, do I want to do another 100? I've only done 100. Do I want to do another 50 miler? But in the end, I'm with, almost a week post race. I'm pretty I'm excited just to stick to 50Ks for a while and not do it and be happy with that. 50Ks or less.
Right. Well, and I mean, you've talked about that all year, how you're wanting to get faster.
Right.
Like you like trail running, but you're in a go fast mode. And
right.
So while you want that and have that motivation for yourself, you might as well go for it, because that might not last forever.
Right. The only reason I would do a 50 miler is if I was doing it with someone from start to finish. After the 50K, like the people doing the 50K split off and the 50 milers went another direction. And I was pretty much alone, really the last 20 miles. So when you're alone, you just have no one to talk to, obviously.
You're alone with your own thoughts.
Right. And I think if I was with someone, it would have been more enjoyable, and we would have been talking, and I would have been distracted, and I probably wouldn't have had those thoughts.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I probably, again, I always finish events knowing I can do better. And I know I'm like, maybe if I would have had that pacer, a husband of a friend of mine, we were kind of going back and forth the first 25 miles. And then I stopped because I had to go to the bathroom, and I took a little longer in at the aid station. I'm like, God, what if I would have stayed with Trent? Because we were pacing so well, so easy, and it felt so comfortable. If I didn't lose him, I wonder if, because he did 9 hours and 56 minutes. And I'm like, could I have broke 10 hours? Or if I tried to keep up with him, would I have fallen apart even worse? You just never know.
Right.
But that motivates me to want to do another one and want to do the same race again. But right now I'm very content with just doing a few 50Ks in the near future.
So your trail season is in the spring still?
Yes, my big race, which I'm really pumped for more than anything, is a 50K with over 12,000 feet of elevation gain. And I just like long climbs. This was a lot of rollers, and it was really hard because it was runnable. I mean, you could walk anytime you want, but I'm competitive. If I wasn't competitive and I was just going to finish, it would have been a different mindset and a different story. But I'm competitive, and I wanted to finish as fast as I could. And so this 50K in May of 2026, it's got so much elevation. Finishing is epic because it's 12,000 feet of elevation again in 32 miles. That's going to be epic enough. But that's where my strength is up. I really need to get better at down. But I'm not worried about that. I'm just excited to do the up. I'm excited to do 12,000 feet of elevation gain. And I'm going into that race with more of a feel good, strong accomplishment. I'm not going into that race with any time goal or any competitive nature at all. I'm just excited to climb 12,000 feet. That's what it's about.
Right. That's awesome. That's a huge wellness win, because when was the last time you did a 50 miler?
I did 74 miles in 2022.
Okay.
So obviously I did 50 miles at that race, but that was really hard for me. It was almost easier because I walked a lot because didn't want to be there. My father had passed away 2 weeks before, and I was grieving, but I didn't know it. I did not. That was really mentally hard for me to do that, but I walked for like the last 25 miles. But the last time I actually did 50 miles was 10 years ago. No. I did a 50 miler in 2021. I did 50 miles. But again, when there's elevation, it's just a different mindset and a different time goal.
Right.
I do well relative to my competition, the more elevation there is.
Right. Yeah, that's how I am too. That's why all my favorite races are St. George and Wildlife Loop and all these ones that people are like, oh, that race is so hard. I'm like, I do so much better at those races because I'm good at the elevation stuff.
Yeah.
So, well, that's awesome. So my wellness win just happened like an hour ago. I was going to get a package from the package room, and it was locked. So the dogs and I walked to the main office to tell them to unlock the package room, because they're supposed to unlock it when they're open. And the lady who runs the office was like, oh, I was just about to message you because this is the final day for you to pay your rent before we have to like send you some like more serious notice than we already charged you a fee. And I was like, what? I totally paid my rent for December. And I went online and I hadn't. I thought I did. I don't know. December came really quickly, I guess. And I thought I paid it and I didn't. And so I was charged a $50 late fee. Mm-hmm. And when I look back, because my email address with my apartment is different than my main email address, because for some reason they don't get my email responses with my mail.com, which is my normal one. So I just have a Gmail account for them basically. And I never check it. And I checked it. They sent something on December 8th saying this is the last day before we charge you a late fee. They sent something on December 10th. So I went and paid it. And it's the thing, when things like that happen, it reminds me to pay attention and to, I sometimes get so busy that I forget important things like paying my rent. And so it's a reminder, I need to check my email every single day. I need to check my bank account every single day. And so I had to pay an extra $50 because of the late fee. And in the past, so what makes it a wellness win? It's not a wellness win that I forgot to pay my rent. It's a wellness win that in the past, me owing an extra $50, I would have beat myself up about it and been like super pissed off at myself.
Right.
Because I'm like, oh my gosh, you just lost $50. Like I woke up this morning at 4:00 in the morning so I could coach masters and make $20. And then I just lost 50. Like I woke up for nothing. And so in the past, I would have gotten really mad at myself and just been like, oh, you're so irresponsible. Got emotional because I just lost $50 of my hard-earned money. And I was like, instead, I was like, oh, that sucks. It's a good reminder to slow down and pay more attention.
Mm-hmm. I love that. Yes, for sure.
So Wendy and I are celebrating something today. Today is our 52nd episode, and there's 52 weeks in a year. So today is our Wellness Made Easy 1-year anniversary.
Happy anniversary.
The anniversary. So we wanted to kind of talk about a couple things. Number one, what our highlights and lowlights have been during the last year of our podcast. I checked out some of our statistics that I was going to share because I think they're really fun and I like statistics. And then we were going to share maybe some steps that you guys can take if you're wanting to start a podcast, because I truly believe that if Wendy and I can do it, anybody can do it.
Absolutely.
100%. So let's start with, Wendy, what are maybe 2 of your top highlights or reasons or joys you've gotten from doing the podcast over the last year?
Seeing you every week. So we got to see each other. We're friends. We've been friends forever. Probably, well, not forever, since like 2002. When we did Ironman Boulder, before it was a 54, before it was an Ironman, it was 5430 Sports, 2002. So the highlight is being able to meet with you every week. You know, I've been a co-host of the Endurance Hour podcast with Dave Erickson, and we did it. We started doing it every week and then we spread it out, but it was just fun to be able to connect with someone kind of in person, face to face every week was a highlight. And we did it was a streak, a 1-year streak. We haven't missed a week of doing it. And Kirsten and I really like streaks that are a challenge, but yet realistic and possibly attainable. And if we had to break our streak, I was totally okay with it because you let go of perfectionism. And so just that was the 2 highlights of doing the podcast. And just the fact that we were both interested. I don't remember why we actually connected and said, let's start a podcast together, because we were both thinking about it.
I know.
But I can't remember like when we said, oh yeah, let's do it. But the fact that it just kind of came together without much planning is a highlight too.
Yes. So that my highlight is getting to see you, Wendy, every single week as well. And it's different than like talking on the phone with somebody, because like I get to look at you and I get to see what you're wearing or see what your hair is doing or see where you're at. And I love that too. And I get excited about it. And there's nothing that I can think of that I would be like, oh, we're going to have to skip this week, because I enjoy it. It's delightful. That was our podcast word of the year. And it's been such a joy. I always finish, if I'm feeling like grumpy or in a bad mood or tired. I'm tired a lot on Thursdays now because I work so early and I'm not a morning person. But whenever I get off the podcast, I'm always full of energy and excited and motivated. Mm-hmm. And so that's important to me. And I actually wasn't even thinking back to how it happened. I feel like sometime maybe in November, we were talking, maybe we were talking about Kona Camp.
We were talking about Kona Camp. Exactly what I was going to say. I think we reconnected originally because we were possibly going to coach a training camp in Kona in February of 2025. So I think just to the fact that kind of reconnected us in person instead of just social media, random texts.
Right.
Because we never really lost touch when I moved to Georgia. But I think that sparked it.
Right. And so then this kind of goes into the process of what we did, in case anyone's interested in starting a podcast, is, to me, I'm always thinking of what are we going to call it? And we knew we wanted to do it, obviously, something about wellness and health, nutrition, fitness, triathlon, coaching, kind of trying to encompass all these things that Wendy and I are very familiar with and expert at, and that we practice in our everyday life. And so thinking of a term or a title that kind of brought it all together, I kind of came up with, I think I sent Wendy a list of like 20 options, and she picked Wellness Made Easy, and I'm like, sold.
Right. Because I do a lot of like swimming made easy, running easy. Like I think simplicity is a good word of what we try to strive for. And what I, as a coach, try to strive for athletes I coach is not getting so hung up on data or the numbers. And there's just, educating them about everything that impacts their training. And it's not just about the time or the finish or the pace. There's just so much more. And as coaches, that sleep and that nutrition, the recovery aspect of it is so important for health, fitness, and performance and sport. And so, having my master's degree in wellness management, that was an easy thing. And wellness encompasses so many things. When I got my master's degree, I said this on the very first episode, in 1999, I got my wellness degree. I didn't really know what wellness was. I thought it was stress management. And just really, it is. There's so many things that impact your stress. And so wellness is decreasing your stress level by fitness, by sport, by nutrition, by sleep.
Yes. Yeah. And I like that made simple, made easy. I incorporate that into my daily life, but also as a personal trainer, as a swim coach, I pride myself in being able to break things down so they're easily understood by everybody. And that's one thing that I think why I've been successful is I can explain things in a simple way to my clients I'm working with. I don't feel like I have to impress anyone with knowledge. I would rather have them understand what I'm saying rather than go into details that don't pertain to what their goal is.
Right. There's a lot of wellness podcasts out there. One of them I used to listen to was called The Growth Equation. And then they've changed their name twice over the year. And I'm just not necessarily interested in it anymore because it's changed.
Right.
But there's a lot of wellness type podcasts out there that go into a little bit more science, a little bit more data driven. And that's not what I'm interested in helping others do. I'd like to help people simplify their lives. And so they have less stress, help them manage their stress level so they're better and their well-being, mental and physical, is better for it.
Yes. And I think that's why Wendy and I connected so much is we've both always had this sort of philosophy, and we both have a lot of very similar philosophies, even if parts of our lives are very different. And so I think that attracted to us to let's do this together because we both want the same thing for other people. And we both have the knowledge and experience in our own lives that we can help others have that in their lives as well.
Right.
And we both work with so many people between kids and adults and online and live at gyms and person that we get a lot of questions. I mean, we could do every single podcast just on listener questions alone. And we have a couple episodes that have been.
Yeah.
So is there anything that has been a challenge for you in this process?
Just two things, and we mentioned this in the beginning, some of the technology issues we had. We use this platform called Riverside, and we had some technology issues with audio, and sometimes we would spend a half hour, and I'd get a little bit anxious because I'm like, we just spent a half hour and nothing got done type of thing.
The first time it was like an hour and nothing got done.
and so that created a little anxiety because I didn't plan for that extra hour.
Right.
But in the end, we powered through. Again, we let go of perfection and we powered through and we still got it done. There was an episode that we got cut off early. I think we intended to leave early, but accidentally had to cut it off early, but we still published it and it still worked out okay. And the other thing is, there's been some days where I've just been exhausted and I'm like, oh my God, that was time to do the podcast. Oh my gosh, I just have a lot of other things. But again, I practice what I preach and I manage my schedule. And so I don't have that anxiety that sometimes I felt in the beginning of, we got to do the podcast. And now I have a better life balance that again, like you do, I look forward to it. It's not a hardship at all. It's just something that's a highlight of my Thursdays.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Me too. Mine is similar, the kind of challenges I've had, but mine are more due to the Riverside platform because Wendy and I record it. And then I was the one who originally signed up for the platform. So I do all the, at the beginning, I was like, oh, we should edit this. And there's a way on Riverside. Again, if you're interested in starting a podcast, they've improved a lot over the year. So we've only been on this for 1 year and their platform, I don't know how new it was when we started, but they're constantly making improvements and it's gotten so much easier for me over the year. But at the beginning, at first I was like, oh, you can edit to take out any pause that's over 2 seconds. And you can edit it to take out words like, so, all those kind of filler words. And at first I was like, oh, we'll sound so much better. And I haven't listened to those first ones, but I tried to do that in the beginning so that it was more precise and we sounded like we knew what we were talking about and we weren't lingering on things. And then after a couple months, I was like, it's us. This is us. I say so all the time. I say all the time. We pause sometimes if we're trying to, consider an answer, or if we're agreeing with each other, we overtalk about each other oh yeah, right, every once in a while. But so after those first couple months, I was like, this is who we are. And part of our podcast charm is what you see is what you get. And if you can't stand our sound quality, because neither one of us has any professional equipment, if you can't handle, if there's some background noise, my dogs are barking, Wendy's at Lifetime at work, then we're not your people. But over the last few years of me doing more videos and the podcast, people have said to me that they appreciate that I'm real.
Yeah.
I don't do my hair. Wendy and I, we do not get ready, obviously, for our podcast. And this is who we are. And we encourage you to be who you are, whether it's starting a podcast, making videos for YouTube, making videos just for fun, whatever you're doing, taking photos for something, just be the best version of you. And that doesn't mean you have to have a clean bathroom sink in my background. I have clothes piled up high. I have dogs everywhere. This is how we are. So then the other thing with Riverside, again, in case anyone's wanting to use this platform, which I recommend this platform, it's simple and it's gotten, like I said, better over the year. But every time we did a podcast, it took me maybe an hour to put our intro, our outro, the background on those, upload it to Spotify. That whole process took about an hour. And now it takes like 15 minutes because I've done it for a year. And Riverside has made a couple things a little more simple. Like I could save my background instead of remaking it every single week. So those are things that were a little more challenging at the beginning for me, but now are easier, A, because I've done it so many times, and B, because Riverside has made it a little bit easier. So again, if you guys are considering a podcast, I think Riverside is a great platform, and you can record on your own. You can record with 20 people and you can decide how it shows up if you're doing it in video. So anyway, we'll put a link in the show notes. That's a joke because my other thing that's been a little challenging for me is my expectations of what I wanted this to be in the beginning are a lot different now because it just didn't happen and it might never happen. But if you listen to the first few months, Wendy and I, whenever we talked about something like a link to her 31 days of swimming or my 28 days of functional training, we're always like, we'll put it in the show notes because I truly had every intention of making show notes for every single episode. And I have not done show notes for one episode, not one.
Yeah. I remember when we were going to do my previous podcasting experience, we had a system called SpeakPipe.
Yes.
Where listeners could call and leave us a voicemail and ask questions. Dave and I used that on the Endurance Hour, and we really had to promote it so people would use it. It got used a little bit, but we tried to use that in 1 or 2 episodes, and we were going to put the link, and then you just kind of forgot about it until now.
So your podcast can change over time. Keep your expectations low. Like I was so excited the day we put out our first. Oh, and this is a story. We've told this before, but in case this is the first time you're listening, Wendy and I, we did a practice podcast because we wanted to know what it sounded like. We wanted to know what it looked like. We wanted to know how to put it up and everything. And then at the end, we were like, screw it. Let's just put this as episode 1.
Yeah, I love that. That was like productive.
Yeah. And we were like, because we spent an hour together and we were like chit-chatting and we're like, this is some good information. Screw it. Let's not redo it. Let's just put this up as episode 1. So the sound was there. I think I was really loud and you were really quiet. I was more echoey. You were using your microphone at the time. So our sound was a lot different. And I love that we just were like, let's roll with it.
Yeah.
But I was so excited because when we put it out, I think I posted it on social media and I told my family and friends, and it was over Christmas break. So my sister and her kids and everything were visiting. And I went over to my mom's one morning and my sister was sitting there listening to it. And I was like, you're listening to our podcast. So I was excited when we got like 10 listeners. I was like, yes, score. So that leads me into some statistics. So we publish on Spotify podcast, which also links directly to Amazon podcast, Apple Podcasts, whatever, like 5 different podcasts, YouTube. It links to a bunch of stuff automatically. And if any of you are members of Spotify, you get your like wrap up at the end of the year, and it tells you all your like songs you've listened to most and everything. Well, I just realized before we got on, because I was going to look at some of our stats, that it does a wrap for for podcasts and for our podcast. So it gave me some statistics that aren't typically on. So I thought they were really fun. So, first of all, since we publish ours as a video, I guess that's rare. I didn't know that, but we publish it on Spotify. You can either watch the video or you can just listen. And so, our video is one of the top 15% of podcast videos on Spotify. If I was to race and get in the top 15%, that's a win.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. I was excited about that. We kind of already knew this. We're really big in 4 countries. The US is number 1, then Canada, Australia, and then the UK.
Okay.
So we're spreading our wings. We're big in 4 countries. For 35 of our fans who are like subscribers to our podcast or that listen on a regular basis, for 35 of them, our podcast shows up in their top 10.
Nice.
Of their year, of their podcasts that they listen to. For 29 of our fans, we're in the top 5.
Wow.
And for 12 of our fans, shout out to you 12 fans. We are your number 1 podcast.
I love that. I didn't know.
I love you guys. You 12 are my favorites.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. 12 our top 12. And then we've had 1,271 listens.
Yay.
I know, overall. And that is an average of 16 people per episode.
Okay.
And Wendy and I literally had no expectations of our podcast. So even having like 1 or 2 people listen, we're like, yes, especially when we get comments. Because if you guys are listening and you think like, oh, me too, just comment me too, please. I love the comments because to me, that's saying that somebody is engaged with what we are doing. So speak up. We want to hear from you all year long. So about the final thing I looked up our top 3 episodes because I feel like that's what people, if these are our top 3 episodes, there's a reason for it. So number 1, I didn't find the number. I didn't have that much time. I was running out of time. But our number 1 episode is the athlete's journey before, during, and after a big event.
Yeah, I thought that was one of our highlighted ones, and I shared that one a lot.
Yeah, and I think because we have such a large athlete base, and before, during, and after event, and we talked a lot about the mental side of it in this specific episode. We've talked about tapering, nutrition, race day nutrition in other episodes, but this specific one was the emotional and mental journey before, during, and after a big event. And so, yeah, that was our number 1. So that tells me that our athletes are interested in that. So we can move that. You think of that going forward. And then our first episode is the second. It was just introduction to Wellness Made Easy. I'm surprised people still listened after that one. And then our third most listened to one is the Nutrition Made Easy.
Yeah, I figured that was too.
Me too.
Maybe up
because
there.
Nutrition is very confusing. So definitely next year we'll go in. Maybe we can break it apart and have one episode, like a series of 4 in a row, like maybe one talking about carbs, protein, fat, and, something like that, like kind of break apart and go into a little more specific. Not like Wendy said, not like the scientific background, but like what works for us and our athletes. And as an aging person, you need a little more protein. As a active person, you need a little bit more carbs. So we can talk about the different breakdowns based on our people we work with. So those are our 3 top podcasts.
Yay.
I know. So then I was going to ask you, Wendy, what do you want to see moving forward into this next year?
I want to see what our listeners want.
Me too. That's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah. I mean, I think before we really do much changes or much else. We want to hear what they want, what they like, what they dislike, what they're looking forward to. And that'll help, the feedback from them gives us more incentive to make changes. I know in the beginning I had some friends ask, to be a guest. And I'm like, I'm
Right.
not quite sure that's where we're going with this type of podcast,
Right.
to have guests. And I'm still don't want to have guests right now,
Me neither.
unless it was a listener and a friend of ours. But that's just really not the format that we have.
Right. Yeah. And I just wrote some notes for myself to put a poll in my Facebook group.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe even on my main page, my timeline, put a poll just to see what people are interested in. And also, I think that we can highlight something specific from our specific athletes that we coach. And especially like I have a lady who is really focusing on swim technique right now.
Yeah.
And we just did a podcast on swim technique, but maybe we could take something that one of our athletes or one of our clients is working on and highlight that. And then we could ask them. And so instead of interviewing someone and bringing on a guest, we can say, hey, I know you're working on losing weight right now. We want to talk a little bit on our podcast about when is the best time to, lose weight as an athlete, and maybe ask them some questions that we can share some of their information. So it's kind of more personal to these. And obviously we would let them know we're doing it. But then, then other people are like, oh yeah, me too. Because that's all the thing. When you hear, you're like, I can relate.
Yeah.
So what do you think of that going forward?
I like it. Good idea.
Yeah, me too. So, there was one other thing. Because I wanted to talk about, and just quick little, like we kind of mentioned, if you wanted to start a podcast, you guys out there, I would say my 3 biggest tips, and then Wendy, I want to hear your 3 biggest tips, is decide what type of format you want to have and just stick with that for a while. Because I know sometimes, especially in our today's society where we're changing and we're hearing about this and this is popular and this is helping people succeed. Just pick a format. So that could be yourself talking. It could be you interviewing a guest. It could be you co-hosting like Wendy and I do, and decide what format do I want to do and how long do I want to commit to doing it before I either throw in the towel and give up or change the format. So I'd say number 1, decide your format. And then once you have your format, decide kind of an outline. So that's what Wendy and I did. We were like, okay, we're going to do a wellness win. And then we're going to do our topic. And then we're going to do a listener question. And then what are you most excited for in the upcoming week? And so sometimes we stray from that a little bit, but that's been our format. So we figured out we wanted to do co-host. This is our general outline. And then we came up with a handful of topics at the beginning so that we wouldn't have to stress about like, oh, what is our next topic going to be? So we had a list of topics at the beginning. And then after we exhausted that list, then things just started flowing more naturally because we got different questions about things, or people had questions on whatever topic we are doing. And then it was easier. But I think it's a good idea to start off with a list of topics, outlines, and what you're going to talk about a little more specifically. And then as time goes, you can wing it a little bit more. Do you have what would you say your top 3 tips?
To me, I wish I had a Rode podcaster for audio. I wish that worked on this platform, but we, and your headphones and all that, we tried for the first 6 to 10 episodes to try to get that stuff to work. When I listen to our podcast, I think it sounds fine. When I've listened to other podcasts, sometimes I don't think it sounds good. So that's just, equipment. If you feel like that's really important to you, that's something you should invest in. We invested in it. It just didn't work on this platform. If you want to start a podcast, just start it. It's really easy. I remember, now that we're talking, I had just listened to a podcast about how to start a podcast, and I think I shared that with you. And maybe that's how we found Riverside. But if you want to start a podcast,
I found Riverside off ChatGPT. I said, what's the most simple platforms to start a podcast? And they gave me 3. And this was the first one I looked at. And so I was like, I'm just going to commit to this one and learn it.
Yeah. Again, if it's something you want to do, when the why is strong, the how is easy. And that applies to all aspects of life. Just do it.
Yeah. Yeah. And you guys, the worst that could happen is you record it and you decide not to publish it, or you publish it and no one listens to it. And then you decide you don't want to do it. But if you want to, like Wendy and I, another reason we are doing this, which this is one thing I want to get better at next year, is we have a specific podcast with a bunch of information. And then somebody, like I had somebody from my class last week, and she asked about protein. And I want to have a list of our podcasts so I could just send her a link right then and there. Like, she's like, I know you're vegan. How do you get your protein?
We just spent an hour talking about it.
Yeah. And so instead of like telling this person all that stuff, say, hey, we did a podcast on it. Listen here. So that's kind of my goal for how I'm going to use it in my life going forward. And getting show notes.
Yeah.
I'll do show notes. What are you most excited for in this upcoming week?
The Christmas holiday.
Ooh. And what are you excited about it for?
Just because it's just in my life, very low key week or two, usually between Christmas and New Year's, but just the week of Christmas, that I believe the Monday is probably, Christmas is on a Thursday. So that Monday I think is the 21st or 22nd. That whole week is very low key. And so is the following week. So it's just, I have a modified coaching schedule. I always wish for snow, but I live in Georgia, so that's unlikely, but I still wish for it, just even a flake. I've always wanted white Christmases when I lived in Colorado, and I lived there for like 20 years, and maybe I had 2. So yeah, I mean, to me, it's just a very relaxing time of year.
Yeah, I'm so excited because my sister and her kids come for about, I think this year they're coming for 8 days. And her kids are now 19, 21, and 23, but they're still my nieces and nephews. And my daughter gets excited to hang out with them. I love hanging out with my sister and my family. We watch a lot of movies. We eat a lot of popcorn. We stay up too late watching movies. I get up early so that I can go do all my workouts and all my things while they're all sleeping. And then I go, and so for me, it's insanely, I'm exhausted, but all for the best reasons.
It's a good reason.
I know. So I'm excited about that. So I hope you guys have a fabulous leading up to the holidays. And anything else you want to mention, Wendy?
No, I just always, you control and make it a great day.
Yes. Thanks for being here. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Wellness Made Easy with Wendy and Kirsten. If you want to learn more about us or anything we talked about today, check out the links in our show notes. We would love to know what you think of our podcast and what you want more of. So drop us a comment, send us a message, and help us out by leaving us a rating and a review. And don't forget to let us know your wellness win for this week. Thanks for listening. Make it a great day.